What is up, Chicago? What is up, world? What is up, my guy, Dexter Spence in the house? How you doing, bro?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Days, but kind of same. Yeah. How you doing?
You know, this week has been powerful. It's been a blessing, man. Obviously, it's still a lot of trauma in our neighborhoods, in communities and stuff. And so, while my week has been good and progressive, I'm still trying to make sure that people's weeks who aren't as good as progressive, we make sure they keep coming along with us too, and that we all stay good and progressive, because there's gonna be weeks where I ain't so good. I'm gonna need
Yeah,
them.
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So just
Yeah.
try to do that every day, man. The topic tonight, though, is vulnerable creations. And for those of you joining us on a different day, normally we go on Thursdays with Principles of Passion. So we appreciate you tuning in. My birthday weekend, so I'm trying to be here for.
Wait, I didn't even know that. This one coming up, or
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. Saturday is my birthday, man. The big 4-1. So
oh, that's
uh,
what's up.
26 for life, though. Yeah. But nah, man, trying to get away with some friends and just
Yeah,
just depress, right? But
yeah,
depress on my
absolutely.
own terms. You know what I'm saying? On my own
Yeah,
terms. And I think that's a big, segue into vulnerable creations. Um, this is, man, y'all, we about to wrap up season 3. We here on episode 14. Before we even go into what I mean by vulnerable creations and what I meant by that segue of, leaving yourself open and vulnerable, let me tell a little bit about the man of the hour, Jordan Dexter Spitz Holmes, raised in Georgia.
what? Not Georgia.
I'm sorry, Georgia.
Prince
So
Prince
Prince George
George's.
County, Prince
I
George's
wish.
Maryland. I, man, sometimes I say I should read this before, but I like to be surprised too. Raised in Prince George's County, Maryland, a suburb of Washington, D.C. His curious mind led him to become a jack of all trades as a scientist and engineer, a musician, spoken word artist, and an entrepreneur. So he relocated to Chicago in 2014 after graduating from VTech.
Let's go, Hokies.
Let's go. Where his degrees were material science engineering. And that's where you met your mentor, Nikki Giovanni, right?
Yeah, most of yeah.
Let's pause right there.
Hmm.
And what we want to do, obviously, we go into our topics every episode. I want to tell a little bit more about you, but because in your bio, right, you put your mentor in there before you even got to that
Sure.
speaks a lot, especially to what's going on with our education system now, and teachers looking for alternate routes of helping these young adults. Tell us first a little bit about your mentor, Nikki Giovanni.
Yeah. Dopest thing about Nikki, or I'll say my experience with her. Sorry, I got a little tour. I was gonna close my window. Um, Nikki, originally we just met from me taking a creative writing course with her, and in a really funny way, I knew that she taught at Virginia Tech, but I don't think the weight of the individual that was teaching her had quite struck me. So what made me take her course initially was basically somebody making me promise them that I would take advantage of that situation, and I'm tremendously grateful that I did, because she's just a tremendously wise mind, has been around. I mean, literally through civil rights struggles, sitting at the table with, if not working with, legends everywhere. Everywhere from James Baldwin to Maya, and just there is. So one, just kind of understanding the weight and how much that person has seen, and then to kind of be in a newer generation of writers, I guess, or performers. Just that kind of mentorship from her is just is really just an experience that I can't ever replace. And she's just a warm, welcoming soul. Naturally, always smiling, always sharing wisdom, and just building. So yeah, she's a beast, and I'm grateful for it.
I love it, man. I love it. I appreciate that. Mentors are important in our lives, man, and I think
Yeah, definitely.
a lot of us sometimes are scared to go and ask someone. Well, first of all, we're scared to step into that world of something that's new and step into it uh, towards someone that's already an expert, right? Like
Yeah.
that's a big gap to be like,
Hmm.
yo, you're already doing the thing I want to be doing. Will you be my friend? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, literally.
hard to do, but
Yeah,
you know, I think more mentors are doing a better job. More people that are in space are doing a better job of opening their minds up. What young adults have to do as well is, be bold. Be like,
yeah,
yo, can we set up a one-on-one every week? For even if
absolutely.
it's for 10, 20 minutes. I just want to pick your brain, right? But come to that call ready for conversation, right? Like
Yeah.
have questions, have some calls to action and some things to do. So I appreciate you just paying tribute to Nikki Giovanni, and look forward to hopefully meeting her one day for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We actually have a couple of collaborative projects in the works. I can chat about them a little bit later, but yeah, that's and to your point, just not to derail it too much. I don't even care that much about the bio, to be honest. We can just jump right in.
Let's
But
go. Let's talk, bro.
I'm like, I don't.
Let's
But
talk, bro. Yeah.
for Nikki, just one thing I did want to point out that I've experienced with mentors in general. Number one, she didn't make me feel like there was a separation of all these years of experience. You just felt like you're learning along with her, number one. And then number two, you'd be surprised how willing people are to give you their time if you show interest. A lot of these folks, the knowledge is being passed down in this continuous process of that. So a lot of people just don't even ask somebody else, to help you with that mentorship. In that particular instance with her and I didn't make a lot of like me graveling to do interest,
Right.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. You gotta ask. You gotta be bold. You have to step up, and sometimes it's making sure though, right? It's not just always, right time, right place. It's doing the right thing, right? And
Yeah,
that's
most stuff.
showing up one day and be like, hey, guess what? I want to do this, right?
Yeah,
It's really showing that, hey, I don't just have interest. Here's my portfolio. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's formal or not, whether it's on Instagram or not, here's the work I'm doing. Where can
yeah,
people really see that digital story of yours? You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's huge. I want to, so people always be like, well, what made you bring that person on? What made you bring that person on? We'll skip the rest of the bio, but I will, shed light on what really made me bring you on, man, is that, I'm gonna just, how about let's do this? Let me show, right? Because showing always works better. And I want to show
Mhm.
this video, y'all, because I think that when y'all see this, y'all will get a better understanding of the why.
Oh, we
So
taking it back. We taking it back
yeah,
to the math
we,
science
and,
shows. Okay.
we go listen. We gonna go back to 2017 because it hits home on shit that's going on. Excuse my language, mom. I love you. I'm sorry. On things that hit home. My mom hates when I curse, but I'm working on it. I rarely, but things that hit home, like now, right? And like you speaking before the times here, fam. So I want to play this, but before I do that, tell us what Mad Science Showcase 3 was, what it is, what is it?
So essentially, the name Dexter Spitz is an acronym for Designed Experimentation Transcending Reality. All that means is live your life like an experiment. You can't control what happens to you. You can control the product that you become. So the mad science shows were supposed to be pretty much a living embodiment of just being creative, however you want it to be, kind of a space to freely express yourself within the context of live performance and show. So we would usually reform spaces like visually, a lot of decorations, a lot of black light stuff to make this kind of full sensory experience of this experiment that we created and bring people into it to hopefully encourage them, to kind of have fun and make their own weird experiment. So you're basically walking into an experiment within my head. It's pretty much what it is.
I love it, bro. It's engagement. It's letting people truly like what our episode is, right? Vulnerable creations. You're walking into a newly created space, opening your mind up to whatever could possibly happen, right? And I'm not trying to speak existential, but I'm trying to speak in terms of where our world needs to be right now, right? Like we have opportunities right now to walk towards things that have never been done before and connect with people we've never connected with before and bring light to things that have maybe been in darkness for 300 plus years. Let's make it happen. So let me play this and y'all listen, look at the visual, listen to the words, the content. Is 3 minutes, 22 seconds. I'm going to play it all the way through. I may even play after this because that's dope too. But let's listen for a minute, y'all, because this is some dope stuff.
RIP AM/FM Gallery.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, stay woke. Wake up, wake up, wake up, stay woke. Wake up, stay woke. Wake up, stay woke. Stay woke. I wonder one day will a black life matter? Run into a cop, see a black life shatter. Bang, bang, and they buy it back. You know it ain't black and white. But forgive if I question the country that attacked when we asked for rights. It wouldn't budge, so we had to fight. And then they say all lives matter, right? When a Jewish man mourns for the Holocaust, you say, well, tsunamis kill too. Loss is loss. You don't compare. Pain is pain. Times can't remain in vain. Never change. We remain the same. And when you do the same, but you expect to change, that's defined as a man the same. So why's man deranged? How you justify when a life is plain? How you get from rain just to get away? How you testify just to lie away? How you sleep at night? Tell me how you lay. Tell me how you pray. Tell me how you try to use other means to keep a kid alive. Tell me how you look at his mama cry. Tell me how you look at yourself and cry. I've been sleeping while the time was running, hitting the snooze, but I know it's no running from it. You see the news, but I know it's nowhere to run. And I know it's nowhere to run. Wake up, wake up, wake up, stay woke. Wake up, wake up, wake up, stay woke. Wake up, stay woke. Wake up, stay woke. Stay woke. I wonder one day will the whole world be accepted or be reflective and heed the lessons, lose the egos and lead the weapons, be respectful and for the people or be entitled and be defective, see complexions and see the equal, bleed together and be receptive. And when we pray, know it's only the one God. If there isn't one shit, we all got the same arts, so where's the division from? You have faith in a different version, and he say there isn't one on earth that ain't never gonna change. So why not aim to maintain before there isn't one? When we argue about it, they die of thirst. We watch them cry, then try to hurt. We hypocrites and I'll be the first. Can't win the fight, but tell me is it worth it? Tell me do you care when you see me hurt? Tell me do you share with the less fortunate? All the wealth is so disproportionate. We see the carnage and we still destroying it. Sleeping while the time is running, hitting the snooze, but I know it's no running from it. You send the news, but I know it's nowhere to run. And I know it's nowhere to run. Wake up, wake up, wake up, stay woke. Wake up, wake up, wake up, stay woke.
Yeah,
But
that show
yeah,
was crazy. I remember that show too. It was crazy.
I did not do it
It's
justice
crazy.
by getting it cut off, man. But people, if they want to go, that next
Sound
trap
like
nerd
trap
coming,
nerd. He like,
trap nerd coming in. No, we may have to bring that on towards the end of the show, man. I'll work on making sure we can get the full picture on this next one. But man, I mean, in terms of vulnerability, right, and creating something vulnerable, bro, like
mhm.
that's what drew me. I don't even remember. I'm gonna have to go and look back at my notes because I don't even remember who connected us. But when I first saw the first clip of you getting down, I was like, bro, I ain't never seen that before. I ain't never seen nobody throw down like that. The beats are dope. On top of that, he's got dope visuals. Like, I gotta connect with him. So,
I appreciate
bro,
it. Yeah, I appreciate that.
tell us a little bit about this first, but then like let's go back to where all this started, like how you started to become creative. But tell us just a little bit about what we just saw.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, those shows just kind of to the point of finding the ability to be vulnerable. I didn't, as you frame it now, it makes sense anytime that you are communicating your art to some level that is vulnerability, because you're putting something out into the world for people to digest, consume, criticize, whatever it may be. And I think what comes to mind is actually advice from one of my sisters who basically said, she was like, all you really got to do is actually just be yourself. Like I've always had a bundle of skills perfect in separate avenues, in terms of like maybe I was good at math or like logical in whatever kind of way. Maybe I had some like creative skill with writing and this and that. Or like I would say creative ideas around this. And at one point in time, those weren't all operating in sync. Where I think the Mad Science Show or products that came out like that were by was pretty much by allowing those things to operate together with the creative project, the music, the live band, the visuals, ticketed shows. So all of that stuff really came about from just like trusting in that vulnerability display, if you will, and just going with it. So.
Mm-hmm. I was just talking with my boy Kishwan earlier, man, about that, right? About
Yeah,
trusting your value, right? Like your value is what you make of it, but if you can't uncover it and piece it together, then it holds no weight, right? It's like an
yeah,
alchemist. He gets the lead, he gets some metal, but he like, yo, what can if I heat this at this and this, right? I move this lever here and here, then we good, right? Then I
yeah,
create
absolutely.
value, and I
Yeah,
think that's so important for our young adults to look at is, how do you look at what you have, man? A lot of times
yeah,
we ain't looking at all, we're looking at it all individually, right? And then reacting to all of it versus looking at it proactively, pulling it all together and being like, all right, I got it all together here. Let me
yeah,
move this lever here. Let me move this lever here. But we
yeah,
struggle putting it all there and saying that we could put it there and believing that it's all right there.
yeah. And to me, the fundamental thing to believe, or what I had to do more of, is like nobody's going to be able to do, like there's something. It doesn't have to be a music or conventional creative arts, anything like that, but there's going to be some way that you can move through the world uniquely that nobody else will be able to do. So you don't even have to really worry about what's going on with the rest of the world. Like you can figure out how to like just do you and do that in the best way possible, and the rest of it just kind of falls in line. I feel like people struggle sometimes when they try to hop in somebody else's lane and then they get disappointed. It's like, just embody what you got.
Right. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So what does vulnerability mean to you?
um raw definition, I would say just the ability to put something out there without well, maybe you do worry about it, but without a overcoming the fear or boundary of allowing something that you put out into the world, um, just overcoming that boundary of hurt or that boundary of potential hurt or potential judgment, that boundary of whatever the fear is that makes up your resistance to it, getting over that to say, I'm gonna put this into the world anyway.
Right.
I think that's a show, and that can be through the context of creative works. That can be in the context of your relationships. I'm gonna put it out there that I'm trying to be open enough to say I actually like you. You can shoot me down or not. You know what I'm saying? Just going for it.
Right.
So
one thing when I was doing, I was trying to like pick I was like, all right, there's like 20 definitions of vulnerability. Some of them are
yeah.
social, some of them are this. So the one that I kind of pieced together for the show was that vulnerability is the quality of being easily hurt or attacked. And it comes from the Latin word for wound, right? Vulnus is the word. Vulnerability is the state of being open to injury or appearing as if you are. Anytime you create something new, you open yourself up for critique. And in order to truly learn and grow from that feedback, you have to not only hear, but truly listen. And the real listening begins once you apply what you've learned and heard to your creation. And that is the art of vulnerable creations.
I like that definition.
Yeah, man. And like, I think we have to do better at it. Part of it though is overcoming trauma a little bit, right? And trauma sometimes stems from places we don't even really recognize. We don't even realize we pulling it from there, but that's there. And so I think that's a good segue into this next question, man. Like, what's the first memory you have of like, because right now the work you got, that's creative, that's vulnerable. To do that type of work, you have to have opened yourself up at some point. So can you remember back to that first time when when you really opened up,
Yeah. I mean, just on that point, my life took a bit of, I'll say, I didn't carry over into always being vulnerable. Well, that was like, and I think maybe early on, probably my earliest memories would be I used to make a lot of like toys and stuff. This will sound, I promise you, and I ain't trying to drag you down, mama or my father. We ate, all right. I wasn't like, you know what I'm saying? They like provided a good background, but we weren't, I would say, rich by any means. So I used to make toys sometimes. Like I would make stuff out of paper. And my sister and I would joke about this. I built a stadium, like a little mock-up full stadium, a paper, basically, and all this other crazy stuff. And at the time, I think it was celebrated, which was good, now that I realize it was celebrated in terms of, oh, this is this like creative thing that you've been able to pull out of your brain and do. And I think maybe it didn't always be consistent, but it did be some early encouragement in terms of being able to bring something from mine in the physics.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that support.
It's weird,
man.
I know.
And that's not, people don't look at that as mentorship, right? But when you got support from people around you, right, that is family, that goes even further. When your blood is your support, and you get it from there. Some of us, and listen, it's not weird. It's you, and I appreciate the humbleness that you applauded, your parents and stuff, because you're all parents, man. Like, listen, I'm doing the best for my son. He don't get vacations every year. My mom and my dad, they gave us good vacations, right? We went snowboarding and stuff and got to go to SeaWorld, and like, I'm working on getting back to that point. But at the end of the day, I think all of us as people, we try and, do do what we can, right? But to be vulnerable, right, and to be creative and to have those people around you closest to you be that support, that's a blessing. That's a blessing. Uh-oh, we might have lost Dex. We'll see him back in a minute. It's a good time for me to step in and just talk about some of the work with Your Passion First. And it's been up and down, y'all. It's been up and down.
Okay.
No, you good? I was doing a little interlude about Your Passion First and where we are. You can hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Okay. So I'll still pause though and talk a little bit about the work we're doing. I think a lot of people ask because we're still under the radar. And when I say under the radar, when you're looking at times of vulnerability and creating new things, you got to do your research first. And especially if you're looking to, look at communities first and foremost, right? And young adults, you got to see what they want, what they need, right? And you got to give them a seat at the table. And so a lot of our work in the past year has been just that research, meeting with different organizations, talking with different youth leaders, different youth in the music, entertainment, sports, culinary, wellness, nutrition spaces that are looking to create the change that they really see, right? And some of that really means creating pipelines for young adults to have safe spaces to be creative, right? And that's the big reason we started Principles of Passion, which turned into, what Your Passion First is right now. And so, we're working on programming with young adults within the art, music, entertainment, sports, and culinary space. Working on a partnership with the University of Illinois, Chicago to really bring that home and to some of our communities. A couple beautiful things that just through everyone in our program putting in work right now, the young adults, the mentors, shout out to Shauna, De La Fay, shout out to Kishwan, Shane, Nathan, just everyone, Sahara, everyone in our program that's putting in work is what's getting us to where we are right now. And so some beautiful things opening up. We're working on our Workforce Readiness Festival with Build. We just got the green light there. So, hopefully some beautiful things. Dex, you may want to get in on that for November, just with some of the virtual things you guys are doing. It may be an opportunity. We could definitely talk offline about that. But again, y'all, the goal is to have young adults have safer spaces to find, define, and follow their passion into the workforce. And so we're intentional about that in our programming. And then also in the work we're doing within the corporate space is just helping organizations understand how to create those strategies and processes to bring in young adults into the organization. So just appreciative for the show of support with everyone. Excited for this art in residence grant with the city of Chicago, assuming we could get that. I ain't trying to make an ass out of anybody, but I'm just saying we're confident. We put in the work in terms of building relationships and, just excited to do the work now. So thank you for the interlude. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Dex, anything on your mind that that's just been weighing on you that, you kind of just want to get off the mind?
I mean, that's a tough question to ask in 2020. I'm like, how much time you got? It's I would say working on self. Yeah.
Uh-oh, Dex.
Good?
You in and out a little bit.
I can't tell. You hear? Wow.
I can hear you.
See me? Can you see me? We here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. You're clear. I can still see you on mine. I don't know if it was.
No, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. Is the video there or is it all choppy? I'm trying to do.
Nah, you good. You good. If it
Okay.
pops up again, what I would say is just shut your video off and we'll listen to sound for a minute, because this it'll take down. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was saying, I think the theme or what's been on my mind this year has been focusing on just what I have control over. I think in times like right now, I would say there is a range of suffering going on. There is a range of processing. There's a range of motivation in terms of, how to deal with and engage with the world. And I think you personally, or what's been on my mind, is just making sure that providing enough care for my deeper self, and then also focusing on what I can personally do best and what I think will have some of the biggest impact. So to be honest, that stays on my mind as the continuous back and forth battle. I don't. It's not too many specific troubling thoughts. It's more so just about the
Yeah.
He's like, amen, take a sip.
No, and I appreciate that, man, for sure, because in this time of being essential, right, and looking at really what around you is most important. I think it's that time to dig deep. I went on a run today, and I posted this. I used to hate running, and I still hate it, right? And when I got out of the Marines, right, I was like, yo, I ain't never running more than 3 miles again, right? But I ran 6 miles today, right? And for the past couple of years, I've been running within that range, right? Like 5 to 7 miles. And I don't do it because I love it, right?
Yeah.
I do it because I hate it, but I know it's essential to my life to get me to where I need to be. I know it's essential to find something that brings me peace of mind, right? That disciplines me, that gets me to that higher state of being, to be able to think about other things. And so I think in this time of, looking at like what is essential to us, like what are my basic elements that I need, the things that like I can't live without, and then I'm willing to die for, that are going to get me to that point of sustainability, right? And so I appreciate that of you really having the wherewithal, right? Because some people don't have that right now, to be like, yo, here's what I need for me, right? All this can be for yours. I need this for me right now. So I commend you for that.
Well, but that also of you doing you, like that is what is essentially going to allow you to react better to what's happening within the external world anyway. It's like if you get too caught up and it's easy to do right now because there's so much going on, but I think it messes with our emotional state if just overall bombarded with all of these things that should, mess with your emotional state of being. Like you can't help but think about these things regardless of what your final viewpoint toward them ends up being. You have a lot going on within the world. So I think like centering the self to engage with the world is like the best thing you can do for all parties included, you and everybody else.
Yes, for sure. Here's a good question, man, because I think this is important to think about, because there's peer pressure, right? There's bullying, right? There's all this stuff holding creatives back, whether you're 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got your parents saying, no, this is how you have to build, or you're, 7 and you got a kid saying, hey, what does that look like? Or you're 16 and you're like, hey, why are you drawing that? Or why did you write like that? Right? Like we all get shamed at some point in our life when we're trying to create that something new. Right? So let's talk a little bit about not just the shame and how it plays a role in vulnerability, but how can we like use that as fuel?
Yeah, I think one for sure for my personal story, um, there has been, I would say, shame is well, I guess I can look at it two ways. In it from getting the external shame or maybe disapproval from somebody else in terms of how you want to go about something. I think it can and has in my personal life ended up like pushing maybe my confidence towards my feeling, like towards my own projects or towards what I thought I wanted to put into the world. And what happens with that for me is just like a, a continuous conflict because you have something on your heart or how you want to go about something and some external force, and eventually it becomes your own personal dialogue, ends up fighting against you about what and how you should put things into the world. So I guess what I'm more so getting at is I know for me personally, I've had to contextualize what is somebody's real opinion, towards my work and what is mine. And it's okay if somebody has a disagreement or maybe doesn't see the vision the same way that I do. And a lot of the times that shaming or even that deeper internal shame is a narrative that either somebody else has told to you based on their past experiences, or a narrative that you have started to believe within yourself towards whatever's going on, and you have to there and well, along with narratives there may be truth to them, but you have to try to keep the wherewithal of figuring out what's true and what's accurate out of this, and then adjusting. But it does, I mean, it messes with it is, I mean, a lot of times, especially with your art, with that being a vulnerable expression, it is kind of like a bit of a dagger to the side sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, man, you hit some things on the head, and I think when we look at that word shame, I think it's important to look at that narrative and that story that we create around that.
Yeah.
A lot of times we live in the past and we live in what people say and what
Hmm.
other people do, right? The world moves when you create what you envision,
Yeah.
right? Like for you, right? You could stand still and live in the thoughts of everything else going on, but the world progresses when you create something that you want to see in your future, and I
Yeah.
think we have to learn to understand that a little bit more, that, there's all these books out about, the power of self, the power of this, the power of that, right? The power is within us, but it takes a balance of knowing, like, yo, I get that this is what happened in my life, and I get that, these are relationships that may be here right now, but am I willing to define myself by that or by what I want to see? Right?
Yeah.
It's hard because some people have
Absolutely.
they live with family members that they're still tied to those relationships, right? And then they're looking for those mentors that can pull them into the space they want to be.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel like what we have to do a better job of, myself included, right? And I've gotten better in the last year at this, but when you creating something new, if someone is there and you feel shame in that moment, and in that moment, you can look and know you're doing the best thing you could do, then you got to question the other person.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
You know,
and what to that point with I think that's what it doesn't there's very little empathy in the action of shaming, regardless of who it's going toward. And you brought up a interesting point, because I think a lot of the times when people are externally shaming, it does depend on the topic, but I'm thinking within the context of, I was going to put out a piece of art and maybe there's somebody who has a response to it that is like, oh, why would you want to do that, or why would you want to go that way, or why is there this kind of thing, which has happened at every stage of my artistry. A lot of times that stuff is projections from those people, and sometimes it can have literally zero to do with you, but it's their experience and their doubtfulness or their whatever else, and they'll impose it on you. And that may have been exactly what was delivered to them,
Right.
So yeah, so you're right on that for sure.
And even with that too, and I would say their context, if you creating something new, most people are going to be like, WTF are you doing? Right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
brand
In general.
it's brand new. So if they looking at it from their lens, then of course they're gonna be like, no, that's gonna be a fail because they've
Yeah.
never seen anything like that before. And
Yeah.
so, us as, especially our Black people right now, when we're chasing 300 years of wealth, we got to live in that, right? We got to live
Yeah.
in that vulnerability of having the confidence to know that we got something that can not just serve our community, that can serve everyone, right?
Yeah.
We can't just focus on that one piece. But that shaming, man, I've done my best to try and use it as fuel.
Yeah.
Versus, right, when someone critiques you, a lot of people that feel shame, they're like, and it bounces out. I'm
Yeah.
trying to let it go in, let me process it. Maybe they were right? That's why I always look to first. Maybe you were right. So
Yeah.
if you were right, what would I change if you were right? And
Yeah.
more times than not, that lets me already see what I gotta fix, and then makes me not feel like they was in the wrong for saying what they said.
Yeah. How much? Yeah. Absolutely.
I love it, man. What about rejection, man? Like, how does that play a role in creativity?
I think it's just something. I mean, in the context we've been kind of discussing it. It is part of the process, and the way that I look at it, if you look at a rejection or a rejection letter, whatever it is, I just flip it on its head a lot of the times, which is if you got rejected from something, it means that you stepped out there to try to do it in the first place. So it's not necessary. And also, I would say rejection towards most artists or towards whatever else, you develop some of that stubbornness within your mentality in terms of, yeah, well, if you rejected it, you just didn't really get the point or kind of see it. And I'm going to keep going this way anyway. So there's kind of a resilience around your creativity that has to go hand in hand with that rejection. But I'll just say it is legitimately part of the process. It's part of the process of trying to put something into the world, and to have something rejected and or be controversial is actually one of the best things you can do for your work. Is like, yeah, I want to be able to put out a song and you love it or you absolutely hate it, because that's more powerful and more polarizing, which in a lot of ways ends up getting what you put out there shared into the world more, because people have an opinion about it. So I don't necessarily see rejection in two ways as like a negative thing. One is because you're trying, and then secondly, it's just part of the sport.
I love it. It's free marketing analytics. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, straight up.
For real, bro. I've been watching Cobra Cobra Kai. You seen it?
I haven't seen. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. That I haven't seen it though. Yeah.
So, I never thought, I'd be watching a 84 remake, but they doing some good things in terms of teaching morals and values within it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw Will Smith is the executive producer. I don't know if it's the Will Smith, but I did see that. To do some more research on that. But there was a scene that just speaks to this point, right? About rejection. And one of the kids that was like a nerd before, right? He's got a cleft lip, right? And they used to talk stuff about him, even the sensei. And he becomes kind of cool. And has a cool girlfriend. And they like have a falling out. And so he's at a party and he goes over to her and she rejects him because she ends up liking a girl, right? And so he walks away, but his friend sits next to him and he says something about rejection, right? But it resonated with me because it was like, that's not the end of it. You know what I mean? You just gotta try harder, right? And there was even another point earlier on when he lost a battle, and the older sensei, what's his name, Kreese, was like, oh, he's like, the fight's over, I lost. He's like, fight's over when you say it's over. You know? So it's making references to those things that, like, rejection is like, if you get denied on a job, that just gives you more time to follow up on how you get in touch with more people over there and show them what you're doing. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing I will note, guys, getting rejected by a woman does not always mean that you continue to pester that woman. Because that is one thing that we gotta get straight.
So let me clarify.
Yeah.
Right. And
I heard. Yeah. No, I don't think you. I know how you would say. Yeah.
No. You know,
I do just want to throw that one out there.
It's good to talk about that right now, right? Because I think it's an important thing to highlight. You know, when you look at males and females and some of the challenges going on again in our communities, no means no, first and foremost, right? First and foremost.
Yeah.
If you holler at a girl, bro, and you on the street and she says no to you, don't go back and holler at her the same way.
Yeah.
Fix your game, right? Girls say no for a reason. And if she's saying no, you know, take that to go, how do you move on to the next one and fix, like, ask her.
Yeah.
Hey, be honest with me. You know, I know you don't want to go out with me, but, like, be honest. What made you say no, right? Point fun at yourself.
Yeah.
My hair, was it my breath? Was it my clothes, right? Was it the way I asked you? Like, what was it? You know?
Yeah.
And, like, that's vulnerability right there.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? Anything
absolutely
there, any advice too you want to throw on the table too?
Yeah, most definitely.
So, man, we talking about some good things here. I think it's always important just to talk about, you know, the reason this is going on, right? That folks are going through adversity. What do you feel are some of the things impacting our communities most right now?
Well, do you mean specific? Well, I guess which communities? I gotta know specific. You mean specifically black community, or you mean, yeah? Because I
mean, first, yes, our black communities, but, you know, even in speaking with folks with other learning disorders, again, I don't want to steer away from systemic racism, right?
Yeah.
But what I also don't want to lose sight of is anyone that's getting left behind right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I would say for sure a two-part. For the black community in particular, I think what is complicated is, like you said, I think you put it like catching up to 300 years of kind of wealth gaps and other stuff like that. A lot of the issues that have affected black communities, a lot of stuff has not been resolved. It's not really been squared off in a way of like, okay, these communities are going to be reinvested in an equal way as what other communities are. So I think a lot of our issues remain the same. And then it ends up being, we have to find more innovative ways to basically work out of some of those problem areas. And I personally think that a lot of black community answers rely on creative innovation, not necessarily limited to just political motion. That's the way that I personally landed. And I think the U.S. In general, or communities or people who are being unsupported, like the problem a lot of the times, we've kind of talked about it before, is there is a relative common theme in the US, which is this, it's you as the person who has this freedom of choice and freedom of way that you want to move throughout this country, this like dream of everybody can move around freely kind of thing, which, in theory, I hear what you're saying. But I think what ends up happening in practice is there's this individual focus that can sometimes overlap so much that you kind of forget that we're also within the community, even though we're, solo people within it. So I think there's a bit of a loss of empathy, I think, towards people who are struggling. And then there's also, it is also difficult for somebody who hasn't been in a community that is struggling to then understand how to best support it. So I think on US wise, we probably all could use a little lesson in empathy, and also a reminder that basically one person struggling really isn't beneficial for anybody. So, so if we took a bit more of that approach, I think it would help us a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, man. One person struggling is everyone struggling. I know there's a quote that probably is more concise.
Yeah, it sums it better. Yeah, it sums it better than that.
Yeah, man. It's challenging to be living through that where, we're separating more now than ever, but we also have the opportunity right now to connect more now than ever.
Yeah.
And I think that when we look at being vulnerable, I think we all have to put ourselves in those states of vulnerability, right? In those states of creating new connections, There's a lot of people out there looking for ways to connect in different ways, right? Our old ways haven't been working. That's not to that, right? We having seeing the same posters that, seeing people post from black and white in the 60s. So I think there's an opportunity here. And I keep saying, I think, because I don't know, right? I'm just doing my best to do the research and connect with the most people that really believe that there's a way. Because there is a way. We just have to bond together to figure out what that is, man. But
and you said something that kind of stuck out to me. A statement that I guess I haven't officially coined, but it's pretty much the way I feel about a lot of stuff, is like exactly to your point. You can't use, let's say, if you think about it with any of our technology and how stuff has kind of progressed, it's like trying to use the tools from 1997 to work on a 2020 problem, or the same tools or the same methods from 1960, whatever, to work on a 2020 problem. It's like the technology don't even line up, and I don't mean that like literally. I mean that. I mean, I do mean it literally too, but but I'm more so meant it figuratively, which is why I'm saying I think a lot of our solutions lie in how you can innovate to do things somewhat differently. And that includes just even how you deliver messages to people. You have to innovate in how you deliver messages to them. And that's personally what I've been working on in terms of a lot of the art that I've been creating lately.
I love it, bro. I love it. And your art is beast mode, man. Your art, your music, you tie it all in, right? You tie in the spoken word, you tie in the artistic piece, you tie in the music piece. I will not be surprised if there's some wellness, right? And some
it's coming. Yeah, all of that's coming.
right?
Yeah, all of that's coming.
Yeah, bro. So
the best art that I've created is definitely not out there yet. We are working on getting it out properly, and it'll be more impactful than what's previously been put out, for sure.
I love it. So how can people find, and do you know Audrey Boyle?
Absolutely, yeah. She just texted me. My bad, I didn't text you back. I did read it.
Oh, she's amazing, bro. So I think I had posted the flyer, and she's like, "Dex Spitz." I was like, "How you know him? How you know him?"
Yeah, we met a minute ago now.
Good stuff,
Probably.
man. How can
Um,
people find you? The stuff that you're going to be doing, and is there two things?
mhm.
Yes, how can people find you? But are there any things as well that you want people to be aware of or be on the lookout for with Dexter Spitz?
Definitely. Easiest way to find me is just Dexter without the vowels. So DXTR Spitz, and that's dexterspitz.com or Dexter Spitz on IG, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. Um, and as far as what I have to look forward to, we didn't delve into it, too much, but I have a project that's coming to completion called How Men Cry, which within the spirit of vulnerability in this conversation, the objective of that project is going to be to make showing vulnerability a norm for men, number one, and then two, being able to point men of any age demographic to therapy and or support services. And I'll be doing that through, I'll launch some spoken word pieces that go through some of the vulnerability components of my story, as well as submissions from men within the community as well to display some of their vulnerability. And there will be a book featuring somebody who was mentioned previously in this talk, but we ain't gonna say who. I think y'all can figure it out. And then the other part before that, though, we're probably gonna release some wild, crazy music with the project called Pack a Dank, which is a collaborative effort with myself and my videographer, Brizzy Danks. And I'll just say, it's wild, man. It's wild. There's like a lot of green screen. I know you are familiar with Q4. We did a lot of the filming and like set design and other stuff there too. So kind of a fully inclusive product. And these 7 songs and 7 weird videos to accompany each one of them.
Yeah,
So
shout out Navarre over there, just doing great work.
yeah.
Beautiful. That may have been who connected us too.
I couldn't remember if it was I think it might have been at, ironically, I may have even been looking at Q4 and plotting out some of those details of how we were going to use the space when one of your events was going on. I think that's how it happened.
It's possible.
So, yeah.
It's possible. It's a small world though, man. Everything full circle, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you're doing great work, man. And I'm excited to see what you got popping in the future. Obviously excited for any ways we could create synergy. You know, it's really about opening up people's eyes, changing people's lenses, and especially these young adults out here, you know, redefining how they value themselves. So just excited to do more work with you, man, and continue to collaborate, man. Any last words? Any people you want to thank? Any folks? Anything?
Yeah, I mean, one, with just how the times and everything are going in general, um, you know, everybody just try to find your peace and your space. We didn't talk as much about it, but I'm a big advocate for sure for meditation and mindfulness. The best way you can exist or operate in the world is basically by being your most centered self, which is something that I, on a day-to-day basis, still have to work on. So we all in this together, whether it be positive things going on in the world or, this whole thing is burning down. There is community out there, and that's something I'm reminded of regularly. And thank yous, man. The list is literally too long. Like the list is impossibly long for how many people that I'm truly thankful for in terms of showing any kind of support, any kind of love, and on a day-to-day basis, encouraging projects like that. But I'll definitely give a special shout out to the homie Brizzy Danks for just working out, but for working basically with me on a lot of these projects recently. We've been doing a lot of good work together. I got to extend a thank you to you as well for, you know, having us up here just to have this whole discussion. I'm hoping it can be beneficial for folk. And you know, like I said, it is literally way too many of y'all, but I just appreciate all of the love and support that's come over years, man. Really.
Yeah.
So.
Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate it, man. And we, you know, we just getting started, y'all. So, you know, follow Dex. He's about to. I feel the energy,
We were.
and I'm been pretty good in my time at really sensing energy like that. And so I'm excited to see what he has coming. Excited for some of the kids in our program. We have our Workforce Readiness Festival coming up. We have a volunteer fair. We're doing a Halloween car caravan on Halloween.
Nice.
So just excited for all those beautiful things for the community. If you want to find out more about us as well, you know, go to Facebook, Your Passion First. Again, that's Your Passion 1ST. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat. It's all the same, y'all.
Like everything.
God bless. You know,
You
just
know.
all those. So again, it's Your Passion, the number 1, ST. We here to stay. As I always like to end it, in order to follow your dreams, you got to put your passion first. So we appreciate y'all. We're going to come back in 2 weeks. Then we're going to end season 3. But we will have some live virtual things. Faux show. Again, Dex, appreciate you, brother. Much love.
For sure. Much love to y'all as well, man.
All right, 1.